I'm going to continue the evening by reading some poems from my latest collection, Looking for Eden, which is available here tonight, very reasonably priced. And the first poem, I was in Havana and I went to Park John Lennon, which as you go into the park, there's a bronze statue of John Lennon reclining on a bench just near the entrance. And as you walk towards the statue, the park keeper emerges from behind a bush and asks if you would like him to put John Lennon's spectacles on the statue so you can have a photograph of yourself with the great man. And the reason that the park keeper is there with the spectacles is because in the past spectacles have been taken away as souvenirs by tourists. But I think it's a wonderful thing that probably Cuba is the only country in the world where someone's employed as the keeper of John Lennon's glasses. And so here's a poem, strangely enough, called The Keeper of John Lennon's Glasses. Out of the shade steps the keeper of John Lennon's glasses, slips them over the ex-Beatles' bronze ears. I shove up next to the great man, put my arm around his shoulders, made too warm by the heat of the sun. You capture the moment when I meet John Lennon's likeness in Havana, a life-size casting on a bench, one leg draped casually over the other. I attempt to swap specs, but the keeper wags his finger. I take a moment to bless John for his life in my life. I place a coin in the keeper's palm in recognition of the sacred task he has been anointed so to do. It's not every day you meet the keeper of John Lennon's glasses. Let me take you down. Thank you. This is called Birthday Poem. It's about that day when your birthday arrives and you start looking through the papers to see who else shares this great day. I know I was born on the same day as Michelangelo, but obviously he's not a contemporary. So there are some who are, of course. So this is Birthday Poem. Rising satisfyingly late, I prowl about my apartment naked, long pink purse not perceptibly different from yesterday. The newspaper reveals that the following luminaries will also be celebrating: Betty Boo, 37, Kiki D, 60, David Gilmour, 60, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, 79, the Right Reverend David James, Bishop of Bradford, 63, Kira de Canoa, 63. I wonder if they too began the day prowling naked about their rooms, checking that moving parts were still working, that the old carcass had not sprung a leak. I take quiet satisfaction from the knowledge I'm younger than all of them, except Betty Boo, although to my shame I cannot now recall a single one of her songs. I wonder if you can.
I remember her short skirts.
Same as remembering her songs.
Typical man.
Well, it was 20 years ago. I was in my prime then.
We can have a workshop about that after. This is a poem about when you're young and you start your first job or one of your first jobs, and it's usually something horrible, working in an office or a factory. It's crap. And the only thing that makes it acceptable is because you're young, there's inevitably somebody in the workplace that you fancy. So it's called The Pregnant Girl. We were young, in jobs we didn't care for, pushing pens for a mail order catalogue. Being young cancelled the distraction of work. She was blonde, pale as a corn meadow. I was the dark wraith inhabiting my body before Fat Elvis moved in. Sparks and electricity flew across the office. The taut chain of attraction commanded the airwaves between us. I took her to the pub one lunchtime. There the agony unfolded. She was pregnant, already committed. I wanted to take her right there. I knew she felt the same. We gazed bleakly at our beers. She offered me a roll-up. Sun streamed through Victorian windows, illuminating dust on shelves and sills. She smiled ruefully, bony fingers tense with the conflicts in her life. She bit her lip until a corner paled against the plush, sweet redness of the rest. We should go back, she said. How different things might have been. I could have said, dump the boyfriend, I'll father your baby. But I didn't. I left the moment to recede. I left the past right there. A funny thing happened to me on the way to the theatre. Well, it was a couple of days ago. I went to Folkestone, and while I was there was an exhibition in the library dedicated to Jimi Hendrix experience, but particularly to Noel Redding, who grew up in Folkestone. And some of you may know that he then, after the band split up, moved to Ireland, where he lived in Cork, and he used to play in a little band in his local pub every Friday night. He did that for 30 years until he died, which was 10 years ago, hence the exhibition in Folkestone. But as luck would have it, I'd already written a poem about the sidemen in Jimi Hendrix's band, and it's called They Also Served. Jimmy's groove would have been less groovy without Mitch's sticks and Noel's bass, underpinning the singing guitar, played by a man with style and taste. Jimmy left the room too soon, leaving behind his trademark hat. The guitarist was gone, no cat on the mat. Mitch and Noel found room to play, neither called it a day. Experience Hendrix was Mitch's thing, while Noel in Cork made his bass notes sing. They also served, these two dudes, riding shotgun while Jimmy soared. Like the beautiful girl with her plane of friends, they nailed Jimmy's groove with their funky blends. Next time you're grooving to Jimmy's sounds, spare a thought for his sidemen too, admiral champions of the music of blue. When it rains in Cork, or the vast Midwest, remember the guys who passed the test, allowing the great guitar god to fly, and Mary for whom the wind did cry. The geezers are gone, the music won't die. A rather more poignant anniversary in a way is that Rachel Corrie died 10 years ago this year. Rachel Corrie was a young American woman who joined the international solidarity movement and went to Palestine to help the people there. And she was killed by an Israeli defense bulldozer while standing outside a Palestinian home trying to protect it from demolition. And this is Rachel Corrie, and she could be anybody's daughter, anybody's sister, anybody's friend. So this is for Rachel Corrie. Because you were just 23 and brilliantly unafraid, I loved you. Because you loved Palestine and I loved Palestine, I loved you. Because you wrote quirky poetry about Dairy Queen and I'm not familiar with that scene, I loved you. Because you stood between the bulldozers and the homes of the poor, I loved you. Because you accepted people and they accepted you, I loved you. Because you lived among those whose lives and welfare were completely strangled, I loved you. Because you spoke up for them and sacrificed your life for them, I loved you. Because when you were 10, you dreamed to stop hunger by the year 2000, I loved you. Because you looked into the future and saw the light that shines, I loved you. Because you believed we're all the same inside, I loved you. Because you looked at the wide world and went to it, I loved you. Because you worried you would have nightmares on your return from Palestine and feel guilty for not being there, I loved you. Because you were as rare as a Monday morning when everyone dances on their way to work. as Steve says, sometimes the poems just speak for themselves. So this is about a nice little interlude on a flight back from Amsterdam. It's called Biscuit Girl from Amsterdam. "Would you like a biscuit?" said the girl sitting next to me on the plane from Amsterdam. Her teeth so white I think she must eat only apples. I appreciatively take one, crunch away. "They are like our English biscuit, the hobnob," I say. Her eyes widen. "The hobnob?" Those white teeth again as she seriously digests this important information. "We call them country cookies," she says at last. Isn't that funny, I think? Hobnob sounds much Dutcher than country cookies. She is on her way to Nepal, where neither hobnobs nor country cookies can easily be found. Instead, she will digest the thrill of exploring fresh lands, a world experienced through young senses, opening like a giant lotus hobnob in any flavour you like. Thank you very much. Now I'd like to welcome back to the Springing into May, and I'm sure they will be springing into May, Keith